Okay, my friends, big news on Broadway. Mudfossil University is in rock history. Bad to the mud, do bad to the mud. We ain't got no bone. Mud fossils, bad to the mud, and making rock history. Okay, my friends, this is going to be about this little spot right here, this little circle. Very hard to see. You have to mess around with the lighting and the shadowing, but there's a circle right there, and that is where all the tendons come up and lock in that make your finger move. There's one on the top and there's one on the bottom. Now, I saw this alien looking hand here. Don't forget, it's here. I have a little water on there. That's why it looks wet, because there's water on it. Now, this here, oh boy, here it is. That right there is another round little implant that holds all the tendons that come up to the tip of your finger. And this is one that has eroded away. And still one ball is left in here. And that was what it anchors in there. It has that little divot there that goes into the fingertip. And that locks in all the tendons so your finger can do all the stuff. Now, so we got one on the top, on the bottom. We got one on the top. Now, don't forget, this has been DNA tested. This is human, and it's been. I have the hand, the whole hand. I have all kinds of stuff from this creature. Now, look at this. This was from that Alien movie. How did they know to do that? How did they know to make that little circle there? Because that's what you have on every batch of tendons when they come. They must have had a very extremely good anatomist working on this. There's my fingertip. Now I'm going to go back and show you something about this one, because it's got the same circle, but it's in the front of the foot. These are no toes. You see this? This is I call these no toes because the toes are built into the foot. They're not exactly like humans, but they're pretty darn close. And they have a tibia and a fibula that sits on the side. The tibia is right there. That's where it sits. And then the fibula goes on the other side. Now, you can't really see, I don't think. There is, maybe if I put a little water on it, you might be able to see it. There is a little, you know, whatever you call it, a bone or the calcaneus part. Now, in the front, look at this. So it's got the arch, it's got everything. It's got the little pads it hits on and the heel, just like us, basically. Now, look at this, though, in the front. You see that circle? I always wondered, I said, what the hell is that? It looks like they put a medallion on there or something. That circle there is just crazy looking. Right in the middle of the foot. And then I started seeing these where tendons attached. So it must have had something to do with a tendon attachment coming around and wrapping to the front. That's all I can tell. But I can tell you one thing. It's definitely a circle right there. And at first I thought, wow, that's something like a decoration or something. You know, Michael Jordan or something. I don't know. All right, now here's how the whole thing started. Somebody sent me a picture of this hand that's got this circle on the back. And I said, whoa, what is that? Well, it appears that it's got to be somewhere in the back here. And we probably have one too that nobody's ever, well, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed it. I never did. But anywhere you have tendons anchoring, it appears that they run into a ball, and from that they spread out. Because that's, I don't know, can you see that? You see that circle? Now let me show you a foot that I have, another foot that I have here that's extremely quartzited. Okay, you see that flat spot right there? This creature died with his foot like that after being drowned. Now, you say, what creature? That just looks like a block of sandstone. Yes, but it was a foot. And how can I say that? Well, because this was where the toes were. It is now literally sandstone, yes. You see that though? Sandstones don't have bones. just blocks of sandstone. That was where the bone was. And this right there, you see that growing out of there? I keep telling people, wherever there's red blood, artery blood, you're going to get moss growing. And it's growing right here. It's been in my shop here for years. It loves red blood. They'll grow right out of that red. There's red one right here, and there's one right here. I can put my finger, I can feel the hole. And these are where the bones were. Usually where the bones come down, the veins and arteries follow them. And this is the side that he died laying on, like that. And all of this stuff erodes away. And it's just basically sandstone now. But that at one time was the foot of a creature. And I have all kinds of these things. And you know, you could say, oh, that's not a foot. Well, I say it's a foot. And if you could see the circle there, which I think you can, and you can see the circle here, that's where the bones came down. Now, these are different creatures than us. But there was geese here too. That's a goose with his feathers. This is my friend Caesar. Bones, all the bones turned into stone too. They're all over the earth. Nobody just ever recognized them before. They were looking for white, shiny bones. They're just not that way. This, in that flood, became mud fossils. It's a totally different invasion than the stripping away. This was just the stabilization of flesh and bones and tendon and everything. And it depended on the conditions that the things were in, what they ended up turning to. This could have ended up turning to be almost clear as glass. The Mitchell Hedges skull is real, and this is a heart that is clear as glass. That's a heart. At one time that was a heart. And now, because of the conditions it was in, it is clear as glass. It's called a water opal. Now, this is the crazy thing that I find in a lot of them. Instead of being, you know, you would expect these lines to be running straight down the foot, but they run sideways, and a lot of, you know, it's crazy looking. The way we're sandwiched together, you're not sandwiched like you would think, like boom, 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 like a sandwich. You're like, I don't know, whatever they call some other kind of sandwich, just sideways. but that's what these little things go. I can't account for that. I don't know. I didn't build it. All I'm doing is telling you what it looks like to me. And if you see something different, well, that's good for you. I don't know. I see something that was a foot with the lines going this way. And I see this in many, many cases, and it really always confused me. But it is what it is. This heart was in the same type of conditions that Mitchell Hedges' skull was in. And this is the same thing. This is the heartstrings and so forth inside. These are very fibrous, tough fibers that are inside your heart. These are the neurons, fibers, or whatever they are, the neural pathways, exactly the same as here. This is a brain scan showing the different fibers in the brain, and the back of the brain is here. The back of the brain here sticks out this way. This died on his face. You see his lip is pushed back, the nose is pushed back, the chin is pushed back, the lip is pushed back. It's all, but you have exactly the same pattern of the brain fibers. And coming up the back here, the same thing, coming up the back. The brain has come forward, obviously, because he was on his face. It's in a liquidish form, and it moved forward. So you end up with this watery cavity in the back. This is, and the jaw is, it removes. You can, it's just like our jaw. If you took and turned yourself into bones, you could take your jaw off, and you can take the jaw off of this, too. That is 100% real. There's no way in the world anybody could have possibly carved that. Absolutely impossible. This, if anybody could possibly do that, you show me how. Nobody's ever been able to explain this. I just explained it. Okay, one last thing. This is the hand, left hand. That's the tendon you have, just like in your hand. Splay it back, you'll see it. This is the bumper pad. All right, this is the grip skin. This is the fingertip, that was the thumb, and this is one of the knuckles. Now this one here eroded in such a way that I can show you why they don't understand. Like I talked, that guy that was assaulted me, I don't know if I mentioned it on this, but he said, oh, no, only certain bones are fossils. Everything's a rock, but only certain ones are fossils. Well, forget that whole issue. That was just nonsense. But what they do is they strip away all this stuff to get down to something that looks like a bone. They say, oh, there's a bone. We found a bone. Well, no, you did. You're just silly, because you just stripped off the muscles and the tendons. You see that little, I don't know if you can see that little button at the end there. You see that little ball right there? You got to get it in the right light. This was a tendon that ran down here. That's the abrupt transition. This was the fibers of the muscle that wraps around the bone ball. And there's the bone ball. That's what they think is the money shot. They rip all this stuff off to get down to that. And oh, we found a bone. Well, big deal. I found a whole finger. And I found one that is a whole thumb. I found a whole hand. I found a whole goose, my best friend in the whole world right now, Caesar. So, for them to strip everything away to try to find something that looks like a bone, it's just wasting time and destroying the evidence, really.